Hi, I'm Andy Hamilton, and you're listening to Josh's Dartistry.
Well, hello there, JDP listeners. Welcome on board to episode 19 of the Josh's Dartistry podcast. I'm not going to lie, this evening's been an absolute nightmare. We'll come on to why in a moment. We've had a few technical problems, but never mind. We're here now, and we are ready to chat all things darts. Let me introduce you to the team on my right-hand side, the man himself, Josh Gorton. How are you, Josh?
Yeah, not too bad, John. How about yourself?
I am stressed out, annoyed, frustrated and irritated, and I'm not even talking about the Spurs game that we've just witnessed as well, so and I'm sure we'll touch on that in a moment. But other than that, I've had a good week, mate. I've been off work this week, spent some time with the kids, half-term holidays and all that kind of stuff, so yeah, it's been nice and relaxed. Back to work tomorrow morning, back to the grindstone and into the real world. But never mind, we move on. On my left-hand side, Statsman himself and Liverpool fan, Neil Connor. How are you, Neil?
Yeah, all good, thank you, John.
I suppose you enjoyed watching Everton nick a point off of us this afternoon?
I don't think anyone would have enjoyed the game. It was obviously a shocking injury.
Yeah, no one likes to see a leg break like that today. It was horrendous.
It was just a very strange game. And everyone, I think, at the end of it was the result kind of became irrelevant.
Yeah, Josh, I think the interview with the players afterwards and the management said it all, didn't they? No one really wanted to talk football, did they?
No, Pochettino in particular looked very shocked. I mean, I think he was right on top of it, really, by the away bench. But yeah, obviously a nasty incident. Obviously, wish him all the very best.
Yeah, absolutely, from all of us. Neil, we've had an absolute nightmare for the last hour, haven't we? So to cut a long story short, the Mac computer that we use has updated their iOS software, and therefore that makes it completely incompatible with the recording software that we normally use to record the show. We've been online trying to find ways of uninstalling, reinstalling, updates, workarounds, and all sorts of code entries and all sorts of stuff to try and get it working. But Neil, the good news is we finally got it up and running.
Yep, the wonders of Google. Whoever has loaded that on the particular forum we were on, the system patch, thank you very much.
Yeah, Apple not always helpful in these situations, are they?
Their software is heavily locked down, so it's not that easy to break sometimes.
If any of you podcasters out there, any of you fellow podcasters use Audacity to record your podcast, don't update your iOS system. Believe me, it's an absolute nightmare. Stay as you are. Anyway, listen, let's move on to the darts. Oh, Josh, there is so much happened recently. Just looking at our agenda and what we're going to be chatting about this evening, there's absolutely loads to discuss, isn't there, mate?
Yeah, I think on the last episode we mentioned it was kind of the business end of the darting season now, and we weren't lying. I mean, that's been, 3 tournaments, major tournaments since we last recorded. We're even watching one at the moment, the World Series finals.
Yeah, we've got Noppert v Chisnell in the background in the semi-final. Noppert leads currently, Josh, 6-4. Do you expect Noppert to see this out, or a resurgence from Chisnell?
Well, Chisnell was behind against Raymond van Barneveld in the quarterfinals, and Noppert missed 12 match darts before eventually beating Ian White. So I'd still expect Chisnell to come back and win, but it could be an all-Dutch final. So
yeah, Van Gerwen already through to the final, isn't he, Josh? He defeated
Mensur Suljovic 11-4. Brutal performance, yeah.
If you were to predict an all-Dutch final before the weekend, would you have gone for that one?
No, I wouldn't have done. I mean, I probably wouldn't have predicted an all-Dutch final, if I'm being honest. I thought it would be...
If he did predict an all-Dutch final, would it have been Van Gerwen v Barney that he was thinking of rather than Noppert?
That's kind of what I was.
I think that's where Neil was going with that question.
I know, but I was trying to be diplomatic and not rude. I'd have maybe said someone like Deswan or Watamina over Noppert if I was picking a Dutchman.
Yeah, Deswan, I think, is the one I would have.
But he lost to Noppert in the first round, so interesting.
But Barney did have a good day yesterday, didn't he?
Yeah, great day yesterday. 101 average, beating Watamina, who's had a really good couple of months, as we'll be discussing later on. Played well against Chiz, he averaged 98, led for most of it. Just lost his way a little bit at the end, and Chisnell came back really well. But he's had a great few weeks, Dave Chisnell, since reaching the World Grand Prix final. Okay,
yeah, so we'll bring you the very latest. By the time this podcast floats live, the World Series of Darts final will be over, but we'll keep our eyes on it for you nonetheless and probably have a chat about the final as we come to it. We've also got, obviously, lots to discuss. The World Grand Prix, Josh, Champions League darts, as you mentioned, European Championships. I also think we need to have a chat about the BDO, don't we? Particularly the World Masters that's taken place.
Yeah, eventful doesn't really do it justice. I mean, so much controversy. We'd have seen it all over social media with the players, so unhappy about what went on there. We spoke to Andy Hamilton as well, which will be obviously featuring that interview later on in the show. Andy Hamilton, obviously former PDC World Championship finalist, now plying his trade in the BDO circuit. He was one of very many unhappy players with how the tournament was dealt with, so that's going to be a major talking point later on.
Yeah, looking forward to your chat with Andy a bit later on. Neil, a couple of things from you this evening. You're going to be updating us on all the very latest odds, are you?
Yeah, I think I'm not sure I can give you the odds for the Grand Slam of darts yet, because I think the draw's
not been done yet.
The draw is still outstanding. So maybe we'll look forward to the World Championships for both the PDC and BDO.
And you'll also be leading us on the next episode of Challenge Josh.
Yes, he did very well last month. I thought
Done very well, very well. Set the bar high.
He did indeed. So we're going to go with a similar format today. But I'm not going to let him know what the subject matter is.
Keep him waiting.
We do have the odd gap for refreshment break.
He might do a bit of research.
Exactly.
Yeah,
so
I'm not that desperate.
I'll keep that under my hat for now.
Okay, we'll also be having a look at any news stories that have cropped up over the last few weeks. Josh, we've got quite a bit to discuss in the news section as well, haven't we?
Yeah, quite a range of stories, really. Quite a little bit in the PDC, BDO, a little bit about Corey Cabby as well.
Excellent. And then we will finish the show, as ever, with Josh's Twitter chatter. You've been sending in your questions for the panel via social media, so thanks for that, and we will do our very best to answer all of those for you before we end the show. Before we crack on, we've got a very exciting announcement to make. Neil, I'm going to let you do the honours with this announcement, because I think you're at the forefront of setting it up. Talk to me about Spotify.
Yes, we are now live on the Spotify application. So anyone who is a member of Spotify, or indeed anyone who's not a member of Spotify, but can access that from the platform that they are on, we are there. And we are live.
Yeah, really good to be on another platform. If you get your podcast from Spotify, you can find us. Spread the news, tell people. You can always find us on the usual platforms. Apple Podcasts, of course. We are also on the Stitcher app for Android users. Spotify, as we mentioned. Josh's YouTube channel. We'll always upload a video version, and there'll always be a streaming media player available on Josh's website. The website is www.joshsdartistry.com. Josh, a few articles gone up on there recently, particularly with all the major tournaments we've had on.
Yeah, exactly, John. It's a very busy time of the darting season. Just trying to keep up to date. A few little feature ideas I've got coming up hopefully over the next week. So, yeah, keep your eyes on that.
Don't forget, you can follow us on Twitter at Josh's Dartistry. There is also a Josh's Dartistry Facebook page. Log on to that, check it out, give us a like. If you can give us a review on Apple Podcasts, that's always handy. 5 stars, of course, please. That would be absolutely wonderful. Just helps to push us up the league tables. And as always, thanks for your support. Thanks for joining us. And here we go.
I feel happy, won't you call me on the telephone? In the morning, won't you call me on the telephone?
Call the boys on 07739 738 329. That's 07739 738 329 and leave them a message.
Okay, Josh, let's have a little roundup. Let's take this in some sort of sequential order. I think probably the best thing for us to do is have a quick chat about the World Grand Prix, yeah?
Yep, the World Grand Prix obviously happened in the early stages of October. It's the first tournament since we last recorded. And that saw Michael van Gerwen lift his 5th World Grand Prix title at the City West Hotel in Dublin, beating Dave Chisnell, which we could see a repeat of that final later on here at the World Series. But it's one of the most unique tournaments, really, due to the double-in, double-out aspect, but also the fact it's a set play. Only the World Championship and the World Grand Prix are set play tournaments. So I'd love to see more of them, personally, on the PDC calendar. It's a short format, obviously first few rounds, only best of 3 sets. So it always creates a lot of upsets, a lot of drama, but Michael van Gerwen was dominant from the outset, really. Survived a bit of a scare in the first round against Jamie Hughes, but from then on was really, really dominant. Beating Jeffrey Deswan comfortably. Had a cracking game with Mervyn King. Beat Chris Dobie, reaching his first PDC major semi-final, so well done to Chris. And then, as I mentioned there, beating Dave Chisnell 5-2 in the final. So back to winning ways for Marty Mark on Sky Sports.
Other than his first game, Josh, against Hughes, it was pretty much plain sailing, wasn't it, for Van Gerwen?
It was. He was quite fortunate against Jamie Hughes. I think it was, obviously, Hughes won the first set. It was then Van Gerwen levelled, and Hughes was 1-0 up in the last set. Missed a couple of darts to break, then almost went 2-1 ahead, and Van Van Gerwen took out a massive 1-3-5 on the ball, and that possibly won in the tournament, really, because as you mentioned there, I think he only dropped 4 more sets after that. I mean, Mervyn King played really well against him, and Dave Chisnell performed well, but you never really felt he was under threat, Van Gerwen.
Neil, on the last podcast, the popular catchphrase for us was "double in, double out in Dublin." What did you make of the World Grand Prix? Did you enjoy it? I
did enjoy it. I managed to catch quite a lot of it. I got quite excited during the Jamie Hughes and Michael Van Gerwen game, but just the freshness of the different format, the double in, double out in Dublin, was really good, and I felt, it just adds a different dimension to the play. Obviously, we'd been through on Josh's on Challenge Josh about 9 darters on the double in, double out. So it's interesting to see what route they take from 501 with that particular stipulation. But yeah, enjoyed it.
Any other standout performances, Josh, whether they were good performances or not so good performances in that competition for you? Anything catch your eye?
I mentioned Chris Dobie. He was a real star. He's reached a couple of PDC quarterfinals before that tournament. He had a brilliant game against Gary Anderson. I think he lost to Gary at the World Championships back in December in a quality contest, and he really felt that he owed Gary one. And he played a great game, Chris. Also beat Ian White in a really good comeback in the quarterfinals. Obviously, Ian White's wait for a major semi-final continues. So I think Chris is obviously one of the standouts, and also Glenn Durrant. We saw him reach the semi-finals at the World Match Play. He repeated the feat, beating Rob Cross, Jermaine Watamina, and Christopher Tashke along the way. He never really seemed comfortable, Glenn, with a format. Obviously, it's his debut at the World Grand Prix. But it's testament to his character and mentality that even when he wasn't at his best, he still found a way to beat 3 very good opponents and reach the semi-finals.
How would you describe his first 10 or so months in the PDC?
Absolutely outstanding. We all knew Glenn's quality. You don't win 3 BDO World Championships in succession without being a quality operator, but there's always a little bit of uncertainty how someone's going to acclimatise. But he's won 2 Pro Tour titles, reached 2 major PDC semi-finals, and I really think it's only a matter of time before we see him win a major one in the PDC. He's got the quality, he's got the experience of winning. So yeah, obviously a great tournament for Glenn. Just also one more player I wanted to point out, Jermaine Watamina.
Yeah.
He's had a really consistent year on the Pro Tour. Obviously made his World Cup debut for the Netherlands this year. I was really impressed with Jermaine because he's quite a quick player, and sometimes they're not always suited to the double start because they're a little bit erratic. But he played really well to beat Adrian Lewis, beat him in the first round, then defeated Peter Wright. Probably the best performance on TV to date from Jermaine. Just lost out to Glenn in the deciding set in the quarterfinals, but obviously that's a real breakthrough for Jermaine, reaching his first TV quarterfinal.
Talking to Darren in the last episode, guys, I seem to remember asking you both who you felt out of the debutants would go deepest. Neil, I think you and I went for Darren, and
I think so.
I think Josh, you went for Aspinall. How did Aspinall get on?
Nathan performed well. He got to the quarterfinals. Had a couple of good results along the way. Beat Vincent van der Voort really comfortably first round. I think he had the second or the highest average of the first round.
Yeah.
Then beat Danny Noppert. Just lost out to Dave Chisnell in the quarterfinal. But as I've mentioned earlier, and we'll go on to talk about later on, Dave's been outstanding since making the switch to Harrows. He's always been a great player, Dave, a top scorer, probably the best 180 in world darts. But he seems to have improved his composure over the last few months. Not as rattled in close games, whereas before he's almost found a way to lose from winning positions. Now he's finding a way to win from losing positions. That's the difference in his game.
Yeah. Very good, very good. Okay, so Michael Van Gerwen is your World Grand Prix winner. Josh, let's move it on to the next tournament. Let's have a look at the Champions League of Darts, which obviously aired on the BBC. What can you tell us about that, buddy?
Yeah, well, the 4th stage in the Champions League of Darts, obviously top 8 players in the world, split into 2 groups of 4. Gary Anderson was the defending champion, but Michael Van Gerwen was bidding to win his first Champions League title and in the process complete a clean sweep of major TV titles. I felt there's going to be a sense of inevitability really about it with Michael Van Gerwen because he always wants to make history, break records, and that was the only real tournament that wasn't on his CV. And he performed really well throughout the tournament, winning it. Won all his 5 matches in Group A. Started off beating James Wade 10-8, beat Michael Smith 10-6, and then beat Gary Anderson 10-4 with 100 averages in every game. But he did survive a few scares along the way. In the semi-finals, beat Gerwen Price 11-10. It's been quite well documented that Gerwen's never beaten Michael Van Gerwen on TV. Came very close, was 10-9 up. Just didn't quite produce in the final leg. And then in the final against Peter Wright, Peter reaching the final for the 2nd straight year, we saw him miss 3 match darts, Peter Wright, from 10-7 up. Van Gerwen obviously capitalised and then closed out the win 4 straight legs. And it was quite familiar to the Premier League final a couple of years ago, which saw Peter miss 6 match darts to beat Michael. Michael then went on and won it. Here, Peter again missing 3 clear darts.
I think that was all in the same leg, wasn't it?
All in the same leg. 3 darts at double 12, I think it was.
Yeah. I was speaking to Josh whilst the game was going on, and I was very confident that Peter would get over the line. Josh told me at 10-7 he fancied Van Gerwen, and much to my disgust, he was right.
I really wanted Peter to win it because he played really well throughout the tournament, apart from his first game against Daryl Gurney, and as I'm going to talk about later, he set a world record average on broadcast in the Players' Championship event earlier this month. So he's in great form, Peter Wright, and after a really poor start to 2019, he's turned it around. But the question marks about his pedigree when playing Van Gerwen remain. Obviously, the only tournament he won, a major TV tournament, was when Marco Van Gerwen was absent from the field at the UK Open.
People always talk about that as well, don't they?
And I think with the recent run of tournaments that we've had, Michael Van Gerwen has very much retained a status that people are find it very difficult to get over the line against him. So we saw it in this tournament with Price in the semi-final and Peter Wright in the final. We've already mentioned the World Grand Prix. Chizzy again, I think he's got
27 matches in a row now he's lost against him,
So you're kind of fearful for him again tonight if he makes the final in the World Series of Darts. So
definitely a mental thing, isn't it?
It has to be. It has to be. And he's able to hold his nerve, accelerate at those key moments in games, which is an ominous sign going into the World Championships.
But Peter was so clinical for much of the game against Michael. He took his chances when they presented themselves to him. It's just crossing that finishing line. It's always the hardest double to hit, the winning one. I think with Peter, when he missed the darts to beat him in the Premier League final, we saw him visibly get quite deflated, and we saw it again. He's almost beating himself up, and rather than thinking just one more good leg, he's reflecting on those missed opportunities. And Michael, you can't give him any sniff because he'll just take advantage.
I think in those type of games, you need to take him out 11-6, 11-7.
Yeah, don't give him a chance.
Exactly. Once it starts to get close and you're 11-9, 10-8 up, 10-9 up, then it becomes very difficult mentally.
Just going back to Chizzy, just looking across my right-hand side at the television in the semi-final, Chizzy now leads Danny Nopper 8-7 in the semi-final from best of 21. So Chizzy's edged in front. We'll keep our eyes on that for you.
Why don't we have a little bit of fun and make our predictions for the final and the score in the final, just to keep things competitive for the
Okay, so you want to know the winner
Yeah.
of the whole tournament and what, the average?
No, the winner of the tournament and the score in the final.
Oh, the score in the final.
So is it best of 21 in the final as well?
Yeah, first to 11.
So I will go Michael Van Gerwen.
Yeah.
11-7 against Dave Chisnell.
Okay, Josh?
I will go Marco Van Gerwen also to play Dave Chisnell, and I will go Marco Van Gerwen to win 11-5.
I will go Michael Van Gerwen to win the final, and I'm going to go 11-2.
Ooh, that's a battering.
Against
Chizzy. Against Chizzy, yeah.
It's now 8-all, so
against Chizzy.
all three of us could be
when
be
Danny
out
Noppert lifts the trophy later on.
We'll have some serious egg on our face. Before we move away, Josh, from the Champions League darts, I want to get your take on this. I saw some comments on Twitter regarding the BBC coverage of it. A little bit of criticism aimed at the spotters and the missing of some crucial darts. Is that something that you witnessed?
Yeah, it wasn't great. Whether it's the spotter's fault, it may not have been the spotter's fault. It may have been the cameraman. We don't know. We can't definitively blame one individual, but the coverage was a little bit disappointing because obviously it's a showcase event on the BBC. It's the only PDC event they have, and you're missing half the legs. I mean, I watched the entire weekend's action. I think I missed half the winning doubles.
Yeah, and that's the problem. It was the doubles quite often that was being missed.
They constantly zoomed in on the player's face throwing, which is all well and good. But and obviously, when you've got the quicker players like Van Gerwen, Anderson, Smith, when they're switching like from double tops to 10s or like 16 to 8s, you're missing those decisive doubles. And in the final leg decider, you want to be able to see all the action. So that was disappointing. But you had good commentary team, Paul Nicholson, Mark Webster.
Yeah, really enjoyed Paul.
Alan Warren a little. Great pundits, and they all brought the coverage to life. But it's just disappointing because, as I've mentioned, it's the showcase event on the BBC now. They don't have the BDO World Championship. It's the top 8 players in the world, the creme de la creme in the PDC. And it just felt a little bit deflating when you're missing half the action.
I know that we'll come on to the BDO World Masters in a moment, but I know that Nicholson was doing commentary for that. He spreads himself around, Paul Nicholson, doesn't he, on commentary duties at the moment?
He does. Obviously, he's not on the PDC tour at the moment. He's going to go Q School in 2020, but he's focusing quite a lot on his commentary commitments at the moment. He's a great analyst.
I'm a
Paul.
big fan of Paul. I think he tells it as it is. He's very honest, and I've always had a lot of time for Paul on commentary.
He's really insightful. He's obviously a modern player as well, so he's got that insight into the modern game. Also, John Gwynn. It was great to hear John Gwynn back on commentary.
Yeah.
Obviously, legendary PDC commentator. So I enjoyed the coverage of the World Masters in terms of the Eurosport. It's just obviously the organisation of it, which we'll touch on later on.
Before we move on, Josh, an episode doesn't seem to go past when we, without discussing Gerwen Price and his relationship with the fans. He went out and he posted a picture on Instagram of him fake crying and saying that, that it's not nice to be shouted at and bullied and this, that and the other. Was that the
World Grand Prix,
That was the Grand Prix.
He lost to Dave Chisnell in the opening round.
What did you make of that and the post he made and all the sort of furore surrounding it?
I mean, I think it was on Instagram, I believe.
Yeah,
I'm not on Instagram,
yeah.
but I saw it posted on social media. He gets a lot of grief Gerwen Price. Some of it possibly self-inflicted because he's a big celebrator, and when he gives it to the crowd, I saw Alan Warner Little discuss this the other day. It's difficult because I think he does get a lot of unjust abuse, and you want to be able to see players given the platform to perform to their potential.
Is it just in the venues he's getting abuse, or is it on social media as well?
I guess it from all angles of it.
I think on social media, people are starting to come around to him more. I think over the last year, I think the way he dealt with the hostility in the Premier League, I think a lot of people found a lot of respect for the way he dealt with that, but.
Because we don't want to end up in a situation like we are with the MPs at the moment, where a lot of them are stepping away.
This is a Brexit-free zone, Neil. All right.
Yeah. No, but it's it's the same thing. Getting abuse,
yeah.
Be it in the venues itself, on social media. Gerwen, I think, is a real character. I think he's someone that's really improving year on year, and you just like to see him showing a little bit more respect.
He's brilliant. He's brilliant for the game, and you want to be able to see these players given a fair opportunity. But the only thing I will say is, when the crowd are giving him grief, he's entitled to celebrate back and give them some back. But then it is quite hard to expect them not to react to him if he's giving them a little bit of stick. So. I can see both sides, but it's the whistling and jeering that I don't like. I think the pantomime booing on a walk-on is fine.
Yeah,
but when they're going for key doubles in a massive semi-final or final, you've got to give the players the respect they deserve. Yeah. They're professionals.
I just found the Instagram post quite interesting. I think he was on a bit of a wind-up. If he wasn't, and it was genuine, I'll hold my hands up and apologise. But I think he posted a picture of him, looked like he was sort of crying a little bit, and some people didn't know whether to sort of attack him for it or sympathise with him.
But if you're getting pelters, would it not affect you?
Yeah, but I don't think I'd take a picture of myself crying and put it on social media.
No, you'd probably rant back at people.
But he also...
His probably was the best way of diffusing it.
But funnily enough, we'll talk about the European Championship in a little bit more detail in the next few minutes. But he also posted something on Instagram after that, I think, to the extent of never imagined I'd be considering retirement.
Right.
And that's my point. He's someone relatively new to the sport that's come in, achieved a lot in a short period of time. He's obviously talented and will improve. He's young enough to improve going forward.
Yeah.
Let's not, give this guy so much grief that he just thinks it's not worth it.
He's very strong mentally, I think, but that's no excuse. He still doesn't deserve what's being given to him. I think it's very tough to manage and police as a PDC. If you've got 3,000 people whistling, what do you do? But it's a very difficult situation. I just hope it doesn't affect Gerwen's game, because he's had a brilliant 2019 so far. I think he's been one of the top 3 players in 2019. I love watching him play. I think he's box office. He's great for the game. I don't want him to lose his passion, but maybe he just needs to be a little bit more measured when he's celebrating towards the crowd. Otherwise, it's impossible not to expect a little bit of grief back.
I think he's great, and I made the point to you guys in our WhatsApp group last week. I want to see a Gerwen Price v Corey Cadby match at some point in a major tournament.
You might be waiting a little bit of a while there, John.
Yeah, we'll come on to that in the news section. Just to update you, Danny Noppert leads Dave Chisnell 10-8. He needs one more leg to clinch a place in the final, so we could all have egg on our face in a minute.
Would be a landmark win for Danny. Obviously, Lakeside finalist a couple of years ago, lost to Glen Durrant, but he reached a PDC major semi at the Players' Championships last year. But this will be his first major PDC final, PDC televised final. So, great opportunity for Danny. Okay, Josh, let's move it on then to the European Championships from Göttingen, Germany. Yep, well, we saw Rob Crosser at the Champions League of Darts. He lost all 3 of his group games against Gerwen Price, Peter Wright and Daryl Gurney. But what a difference a week makes, because 7 days later he was crowned champion, his 3rd PDC major title of his career, his 2nd in 2019. We saw a host of big-name exits in the opening round. Marco van Gerwen lost to Ross Smith despite averaging 105. Brilliant performance from Ross. We saw the defending champion James Wade whitewashed 6-0 by Johnny Clayton. Clayton averaging 111, Wade averaging 82. Adrian Lewis, Glen Durrant, also Peter Wright fell at the first hurdle, Mensur Sulovic, So many top players going out, but Rob Cross was really solid throughout the weekend. Started off beating Darren Webster, then beat Joe Cullen 10-7, beat Ricky Evans in the quarters, Ricky reaching his first TV quarter-final, then beat Daryl Gurney 11-9 in a real cracking semi-final, and Gerwen Price in the final. Gerwen, his bid for a second major PDC title was ultimately curtailed. It's quite a poor final standard-wise. I think Rob averaged 93, his lowest of the weekend. Gerwen 84. Although I am told, despite reaching the final and winning 2 games on finals day, Gerwen was unwell. Beat Vincent van der Voort and Marcus Smith to get to the final, but obviously it's a fatiguing tournament, playing 3 games on finals day. Mentally and physically, it's quite tough on the players. So if he was ill, that kind of explains the poor performance in the final.
So Rob Cross, how long has he been on the PDC?
This is his third year as a professional.
So just over 24 months, and he's won 3 of the Premier tournaments.
The 2 biggest, really, the match play and the World Championship.
Has anyone else done that?
Exploded onto the scene in such a short period of time.
Within their first 3 years on the circuit?
On the PDC circuit, not... I mean, we saw Barney's, I think he won 4 or 5 in the first 3 years.
Here we go.
I knew it'd happen eventually. I knew we'd get the music done eventually. Sorry, Josh, you were saying, continue.
There is a caveat to that, though, because obviously Barney was a
4-time world champion in the BDO.
Exactly. He was an established name when he came, whereas Rob Cross burst onto the scene from nowhere, really. So it's a little bit different.
Yeah.
It's been incredible from Rob.
Durrant could do the same if he continues in the same sort of form that he's hit the ground running with so far, Josh?
Without question, I think any lingering question marks about Durrant's ability to mix it in the PDC have been answered emphatically. He's been superb. Yeah, who knows? It's so competitive now. There's so many potential major winners in the PDC. Every tournament you could list 9 or 10 legitimate contenders, but Glenn's certainly one of those.
But Neil, as you say, Rob Cross, that's his 2nd title of the year and his 4th major final of the season, and he's really proved himself now, in my eyes, to be up there with the elite, top 3 or 4 players in the world, really. Yeah,
and I think he'll kick on and he'll win more and more of these major tournaments. He's got the big one. He's got that out the way already. He hasn't got the pressure of being the first time, a one-time world champion on his back. And I think we'll see him progress. And probably he's the biggest danger to Michael van Gerwen at Ali Pali.
It's an important year for Rob because obviously at the World Championship this year he's defending £400,000 in prize money from winning it 2 years ago. So to have got the World Match Play prize money and the European Championship prize money, it solidifies his ranking. He's still world number 2. But if he'd have had another disappointing year like he did in 2018, he'd have lost a large chunk of his ranking, whereas now he's in a stable position at number 2. He's well clear as world number 2.
So if it comes down to Cross and van Gerwen at the Worlds, how would you see Cross faring based on his recent exploits against Michael?
You'd have to say Michael van Gerwen will be a massive favourite, and that's possibly the issue with a lot of the top players. They have no relevant recent experience of beating Michael in major events. Rob Cross hasn't beaten him on TV for some while. Michael Smith is another one. Dave Chisnell, Peter Wright. There's so many top players. Gerwen Price has never beaten Michael van Gerwen in any match. So that aura, that dominance Michael has over a lot of players is very tough to break. And I think we saw at the European Championship when he lost in the first round, Michael, to Ross Smith. You need to try and get him early. Because the longer the format is, the more comfortable, the more dangerous. Over best of 11 legs or a best of 5 sets, you can beat Michael. Over best of 9 or best of 19 legs, it's very, very tough.
Josh, just stand with the European Championship for a moment. My main man, James Wade, unceremoniously dumped out early doors, the defending champion.
Yeah, it's not been a good week for James. He's defending the European Championship and the World Series. Obviously won 2 back-to-back last year, and both times Johnny Clayton's been the man to dump him out.
Smashed him, didn't he, in the European
absolutely.
Championship?
He was outstanding in that game, 111 average. Yes, James didn't perform, but take nothing away from Johnny. He was outstanding. Obviously at the World Series finals, James led 5-3, Johnny threw on the bounce to win 6-5.
Neil, the other thing I noticed about the European Championship, the early rounds in particular, I know it's midweek, but not great crowds in Germany. Very, very quiet for the early rounds. Don't get me wrong. By the time semi-finals and finals came round, it was a packed house. But I reckon there was about 80 people in the crowd for day one.
I got loads of pings on WhatsApp from people telling me, "Have you seen the darts?" And I switched over and I was shocked because you're
I thought it was a BDO event at one point.
Yeah, well, you're so used to seeing full, lively arenas full of atmosphere,
especially in Germany,
for the PDC, exactly. So I was a little bit shocked. It was a Thursday night, but even in the early rounds of the other tournaments, I've never seen it like that.
No, it's bad, wasn't it, Josh?
Maybe it was a scheduling issue though, because I'm not sure how they dictate the schedule, but we saw a double session on Friday afternoon and Friday evening. Friday evening was bouncing in there. Friday afternoon was very quiet again. But surely on Saturday we only saw an evening session. Surely it'd be more productive to have a double session on the weekend, on the Saturday. rather than just have an evening session on the Saturday night, because obviously Friday afternoon people are still working. Definitely had an impact on it. But yeah, over the last day, Saturday night and Sunday afternoon and evening, yeah, brilliant atmosphere.
Yeah, you might be right, because everyone that was getting on to me was saying, "Oh, his darts lost his appeal," and I think we're talking about one night.
Yeah, I wouldn't go that far.
Through a season. So
you watch this crowd tonight in Amsterdam.
No,
and
absolutely.
say it's lost its appeal.
No, you may well be right. It may just be a scheduling issue that meant that the arena couldn't be full to the brim like we're used to.
Okay, well, that is your European Championship roundup. Many congratulations to Rob Cross on clinching the title. And that pretty much wraps it up for the PDC, Josh, what with the Grand Prix, the Champions League, and the European Championship. Next major PDC tournament coming up is...
It's the Grand Slam of darts. It's obviously a cross-code event, one of the most interesting tournaments, really. We see 8 BDO players, of 24 PDC players, making up the 32-player field. I was going to say 32-man field, but it's not a 32-man field, because we've got 2 female players from the BDO, in Lisa Ashton and Mikura Suzuki. So that'd be really interesting to see. We've got a qualifier tomorrow in Barnsley for the final 8 spots to be filled for the Grand Slam.
Do you think Barney might nick one of them?
Possibly. It's going to be tough for him, and I think the likes of Krzysztof Ratajski, because they've played today in finals day here in Amsterdam. They're going to fly straight over to now to Barnsley. So in terms of fatigue, it could be a bit of a struggle. But 128 players, a lot of top players who have not yet qualified, so it's going to be very competitive. I think Barney's his main focus is the World Championship now.
Yeah, of course.
It'll be a bonus if he qualifies for the Grand Slam. I think he's pinning his hopes on trying to go out in style at the Worlds.
Neil, talking of qualifiers, this is a little bit away from the PDC, but we had a night out, didn't we, a couple of weeks ago down at Riley's in Harlow. Shout out to Riley's in Harlow. I thought it was a very good night and a good setup down there.
Followed you on Twitter, didn't they?
They did, yeah.
Followed me as well.
We all had a bite to eat and played some darts and had a few drinks, which was very nice. And we had the inaugural Shoddy Darts tournament, didn't we? Which was won by Adrian Lee, Animal.
Friend of the show.
Friend of the show. He came through. Very good player, Animal, wasn't he, Neil?
He was very good. But more importantly, he beat Josh.
He did beat Josh.
No, he didn't.
To win the title.
No, he didn't. I got lost in the semis.
Yeah, but he beat you to win the title.
We won the title, yeah.
Yeah.
So he beat you?
Yes. Well, technically, I beat him in an exhibition match.
Now, for someone that's got a dartboard in their own bedroom and that claims to have thrown X number of 180s, I thought it was a disappointing performance.
Can I just say, Neil got knocked out first round and then decided to invent the plate, which was for anyone who'd been knocked out.
He lost in that.
Lost in the plate match, right?
And the doubles was the best of the lot.
Then he formed the doubles tournament before we'd even had the chance to play a plate final. He completely lost interest in the 2 main competitions that he'd already set up, and then you lost in the doubles to who did you lose to in the doubles?
Josh and Ross.
Josh and Ross in
he
the doubles.
He also created the quickest race home. He was in the car with me, so obviously we didn't win that.
Anyway, I was unfortunate. I just met players who had worldies.
I bet you as well, I think, didn't I?
Yeah, exactly. That's what I mean. So, but more importantly, that is the venue for one of the UK Open qualifiers.
Absolutely.
And I have looked at the entry forms, and I'm seriously thinking about entering Josh.
Yeah.
For that qualifier.
Not a chance.
Well,
mate.
he was reluctant in the car home when we were discussing it. I can't understand why. I think it'd be an excellent piece for both your website and the Josh's Dartistry podcast. You could get a real insight into what it's like to try and qualify for one of these
and fail
for these big tournaments, and you could report back. And I think it would be a really good feature for the show. I don't know why he's so negative about it, Neil. And he's a good player. I mean, I don't know if you've seen it online on my Twitter account. I posted a video of you having a throw. I thought you got a very smooth action. I thought you looked good. And I don't know why you're
putting the highest score of the night, you filmed there.
I don't know why you're so negative and defensive about it. I think you could give it a real go.
I would never be able to forgive myself if I played in one of those and averaged about 54 and lost 4. And I would literally, my opposition player would look at me in disgust as I threw.
I think you'd be lucky to average 54 from what I've seen.
Who is it that played at Riley's in the qualifiers last year that we were talking about? Kevin Painter. And you said, what would you do if you came up against Kevin Painter?
That would be a low point for Kevin, having played in the PDC World Championship final against Phil Taylor, to then be drawn against the likes of me. I wouldn't inflict it on him.
Try a few mind games, you never know. Get in their heads.
Take his darts away, that might be the only tactic.
Anyway, now, have you filled in the application form?
It's filled, it just needs to be signed.
Just needs to be signed. Okay, we can fake your signature and then we can pop
the cough started again.
The cough started. We can pop that in the post, and we'll keep you posted about how Josh's entry into the UK Open qualifiers goes. Okay, listen, let's move it on. That is your PDC Round-Up. You're listening to the Josh's Dartistry podcast. Don't forget you can check us out on Facebook, the Josh's Dartistry page. You can also follow us on Twitter at Josh's Dartistry. And you can also go to our website, www.joshisdartistry.com, for all the latest news, blogs and information on the world of darts. Don't forget you can also call us and leave us a message on our voicemail box. That's 07739 738 329. That's 07739 738 329. Call our voicemail box, leave us a message, leave us a question, and we may play it on the show. Now back to the show.
This is Raymond from Barneveld, and you listen to George Dartistry.
Okay, Josh, let's have a little look at the BDO. We had the BDO World Masters at the Circus Tavern from October the 23rd to the 28th. I'm just going to hand it over to you, mate, because there's quite a lot to discuss and a bit of controversy as well.
Yep, a lot of controversy. Obviously, an exciting time for the BDO in theory at the Circus Tavern. Iconic darting venue. Played host to the PDC World Championship for a number of years. I'm going to talk about the actual darts initially.
Yeah, let's start with a positive.
We'll start with a positive. We saw a new winner in the men's draw, John O'Shea. Nope, not the ex-Man United footballer. Very talented Irish player. Won his first BDO major title. Beat a number of high-profile names en route to winning the title, including Scott Waits in the final. Obviously, Scott, a two-time BDO World Champion. Defeated William Mandigers en route. Talented Dutchman. Neil Duff, 9th seed Mario van den Boogaard. That's hard to say.
That's a great name. I like that.
Good player, very good player. 9th seed. And obviously Scott in the final, 6-4. So congratulations to him. And in the women's side of the draw, we saw Lisa Ashton, top seed and defending champion. She won her third title, beating Anastasia Dobromislova 5-4. She trailed 4-2 in that one, Lisa. Came back to win. So the perfect preparation for a Grand Slam debut next month.
Good, good. Well, congratulations to the both of them. Right, Josh, let's get down to the nitty-gritty. What on earth went on?
It was just incredible. I couldn't believe what I was reading on social media on the day of the event.
I was getting most of my information from Oki Balboa. He was up there for some of the games, wasn't he?
He was indeed, yeah. We're seeing false names apparently in the draw. In the event of players pulling out from the draw, they put false names. Don't ask me. I've got no idea. Also, a number of top players. I've been told by various sources that information on the prize money was withheld from them.
Yeah.
So they're going to an event, travelling to an event. Some players going from overseas, not sure what they're playing for, which is just ludicrous.
Yeah.
And to top it all off, they had to do a redraw about 20 minutes before they're due to.
Yeah, because I had some people turned up that hadn't registered properly and weren't informed by their country or their governing body of the registration process, and therefore when people turn up they weren't expecting and had to.
It's just completely unprofessional. The BDO gets a lot of stick, some of it warranted, some of it unwarranted. The darts, I feel sorry for the players, really. Because the darts itself, we saw some high-class darts throughout the weekend. But things like this just undermine all the efforts from the BDO to improve and grow. And I know a number of players were really disappointed. Andy Hamilton was one of them. I interviewed Andy, which we'll be listening to in a short while. He just said he was so demotivated because what are you doing there? Also, the crowd was really poor for a lot of the event. This is an iconic venue. This should have been promoted and marketed much better, much earlier. Tickets didn't go on sale early enough. So we're seeing sometimes 50, 60 people in the venue. It's not a good environment to play darts. It's really disappointing to see.
There was rumours that Des Jacqueline stood up in private in a room with the top, 12 or 16 players and made a statement to those players about what had been going on. And there was also rumours that he said that after this tournament he was going to stand down, whether that's been discussed afterwards
unconfirmed,
or not.
I think, but I read the same reports. Another thing as well, obviously you've got 16 seeds for the World Masters, and in previous years the 16 seeds have been given a bye through to whether it be the second round or last 32. This year they all started in the last 128, so what is the real benefit of being a seed if you're having to start away from the TV cameras in the first round? It just I don't really understand it.
Neil, I'm going to use a word that I quite often hear trip from your lips: shambles.
Yeah, it was sad to hear because I think, as Josh alluded to, there's been various attempts over the past few years to try and regrow and improve the BDO. Some of it has been improved. Some of it clearly is still lacking. And I think regardless of whether it's darts, any organisation that you're working with or you're working for, there are certain core things that you expect to be right, and one is transparency. It sounds like that was lacking. Honesty and communication. And I can understand where Andy Hamilton's coming from, that when you are working in that environment, it will demotivate you.
Yeah, some sad stories coming out. We'll hear more from Andy, obviously, very, very shortly. We've got his interview coming up next. But Josh, it just seems like whenever the BDO makes some progress, and we've been positive about the BDO on previous episodes. We've mentioned the television deals that they've managed to put in place and some of the venue changes and this, that, and the other. But for me, Josh, it just always seems like it's 2 steps forwards and 3 steps back.
Exactly. It's just deflating as a BDO fan, as a BDO player, because you're giving your all and you feel like the work you're putting in is not being reciprocated by the BDO board.
And how would you feel if you were turning up for work and not knowing what you were going to be potentially paid for that work?
Exactly. I mean, we're having players travelling from all over the globe to play in a tournament. Will it even cover their
Yeah, it'd be nice
their
enough if
travel?
it's going to cover your expenses and your flight and
Exactly.
whatever it may be. What is the prize money for the UK Open qualifiers, Neil? What could Josh win?
Packet of pork
If he wins
scratchings.
that.
To be honest, I didn't look at what he might win.
All entrants get a free drink, I saw, from Riley's.
I'd need more than one drink if I was playing in that.
They also mentions expenses, Neil, on the entry form, if I remember
Yeah,
rightly.
and as his managers, we'll be
we'll be claiming that, won't
looking
we?
into that.
We'll be claiming that as our admin fees. But not to make light of the situation, not great coming out of the BDO, and it was pretty uniform from all the players that were taking part. I don't think it was a difference of opinion. I think we're talking about cold, hard facts here, Josh, aren't we?
Yeah, exactly. It was unanimous. It was. The only positive I will say, again, the standard of darts was good.
Yeah, very good, very good.
The coverage I enjoyed. Paul Nicholson is superb value on commentary.
Yeah.
John Gwynn is a legend in darts punditry. And hopefully, they can learn lessons now, the BDO board, in terms of communication and transparency for the World Championships. It's a big opportunity for them, hopefully, in the Indigo O2, new venue this year for 2020.
The tickets on sale, yeah?
They are on sale, I believe, and I believe they're selling okay so far, which is promising.
Yeah, it's a good venue as well.
Yeah.
It's a good venue for darts, exactly. So hopefully they can learn the lessons and use this as a springboard.
I think there can't be many false starts.
No, because I know a lot of players now, since the shambles at the World Masters, have said they're 100% now going to Q School. Maybe they were going already, but I think for some that may be a little bit unsure, it's now made their mind up. The PDC, it's chalk and cheese when you compare how the organisations are run in terms of communication, transparency, marketing. It's untenable for the BDO to continue to be managed in this way.
Okay, well, next we'll get some comment from Andy Hamilton, as who you say, Josh, was there and witnessed it. But for the time being, that is your BDO World Masters Round-Up.
You're listening to Josh's Dartistry. Don't forget, you can check us out on Facebook by going to the Josh's Dartistry page. You can follow us on Twitter @Josh's Dartistry, or go to the website www.joshisdartistry.com for the latest news and insight to the world of darts. You can also leave us a comment or a question via our voicemail box. Just call 07739 738 329. Leave us a message and we may play it on air. Now back to the show.
This is Paul Nicholson, and you're listening to Josh's Dartistry.
Okay, Josh, let's get it straight from the horse's mouth. Earlier on this afternoon, you managed to have a chat with Andy Hamilton, didn't you?
Yeah, Andy, brilliant player, former PDC World Championship finalist, Premier League star, played in both codes, and as someone who was actually at the World Masters competing, I thought it was really great to get an insight into really what went on. So, great interview with Andy, quite a lot of interesting revelations to come from it.
Okay, let's have a listen.
Josh's Dartistry, Josh's Dartistry, Josh's Dartistry, Josh's Dartistry.
Well, guys, I'm delighted here to be joined by former World Championship finalist Andy Hamilton. Andy, thanks for joining me, mate.
Hi, you all right, Josh?
Yeah, I'm all good, thank you, mate. Now, hopefully, it's your second year on the BDO circuit, Andy. You seeded 12th at this year's BDO World Championship. How would you assess your season so far?
Yeah, this season hasn't been too bad. I think it could have been better, but improvement on last year, which was I always want to do, always better myself. So it's starts going in the right direction. Number 12 is probably pushed me this year, but I know there's more to come from me as well.
That's great stuff. And obviously, you've been in the BDO for a couple of years now, haven't been in the PDC for over a decade. So how have you found life in the BDO so far?
Yeah, it's been okay. I mean, the BDO got problems. I don't know what they are. There's lack of communication from everyone around, the players, the fans. I think the board themselves don't even know what's going on sometimes, but I think something needs to be done where we can move on. I think it's affected me this year. My motivation a bit sometimes. And one circumstance was obviously the Masters, where I just got really, really down about what was going on there, and I lost interest in the Masters itself.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about the World Masters, because it was highly documented by a number of players on social media, but I heard from various sources there were fake names in the draw, the prize money information was withheld from the players, and obviously a redraw just before the tournament started. So what was your take as a player who was there? It must have been really demotivating.
Yeah, definitely. After I was getting ready to play my game at 2 o'clock, and also there was a meeting call. The top 16 players went down there. I don't want to say what went on there, but the whole situation, having a redraw and just putting. I didn't even know about the false names till after, and I've heard a lot more things which I won't go into. It's just wrong how it's all been done. I think as a player, our side, I'm talking for everybody else, I should imagine. It's just wrong for a player to get motivated for a competition which has been probably just downgraded a little bit for what's happened, and it's a shame really, because we always want to play darts. We want to know what we're doing. We want to know the format. We want to know the prize money. We want to know the draw. But some things aren't coming to the forefront very quickly, or not quick enough for the players. So as a result, players are getting demotivated and just sometimes really don't want to be there sometimes.
Does that create worry for you ahead of the World Championship at the Indigo O2? Because obviously, are you worried that a similar thing could appear there?
Well, I hope not. I mean, these things could happen again, but hopefully they'll learn from this mistake. And well, I don't think it's a mistake. Somebody's at fault for what's happened. I don't know if it's a mistake or not, but it needs to be resolved, because obviously you don't want this happening again, because it's doing no good for the BDO organisation whatsoever. It's just downgrading them for just being unprofessional. So hopefully they get it sorted for the Worlds, because it's very prestigious for every player and every fan out there. So it's got to be right, and hopefully something will be done in the next few weeks.
And if you had to kind of pinpoint one key factor you think the BDO need to improve, is it the communication aspect between players and fans alike? Yeah,
most definitely. I mean, every player's there, and all the fans are there. Just need communication, some correspondence, what they can relate to. Because at the moment, there's nothing at all, and all people are doing are asking questions. We shouldn't be asking the questions. We should be, because we should know them already. So hopefully down the line, this can be resolved, and we don't need to ask the questions we need to, and the questions we'll be asking will just be relating to ourselves and not the whole organisation.
No, of course. And I mean, you've really kind of got your career back on track in the BDO. After losing your tour card in the PDC, are you proud of the way you fought back and the courage you've shown?
Yeah, most definitely. I mean, any other player could just pack in and give in and say, right, that's it, I can't do it anymore. Obviously, people give in because of the competition, but I just dug in deep. I do what I normally do. I just fight, and I've proved I've got pedigree there still. I'm proved I'm still playing good darts. I'm a bit inconsistent at the moment, but it happens in life, and if I get the consistency back in, I'll be a danger. So I'm just looking forward to the future and playing in which organisation, whatever.
And you mentioned there a lot of players would have given up. Obviously, having reached a World Championship final in the PDC and appeared in the Premier League, when you did lose your tour card, was there a point where you did consider retirement?
Yeah, most definitely. It always crossed my mind. Obviously, I was due to go to Australia in January as the Q school was on, and I decided not to do Q school because I'd do myself more harm than good. So I decided to go to Australia. There's a few big professionals down there, including Phil Taylor. And I played in some great competitions there, playing class players. So it got me back because I beat Kyle Anderson down there, and I believed I've still got the game back again. But also I couldn't go back to Q school because it had already been done then. So I decided to just take another step away from it and go to the BDO and try that. I've never played the BDO, so that's a new challenge for me. And it worked out good because obviously I got to know some of the players already, and also I made new friends there, and they welcomed me open arms at BDO. So without that there, I wouldn't be where I am today.
No, it's brilliant. And we've seen, obviously, Wes Newton, he played at the BDO World Championship alongside you last year. Jamie Caven's tried his hand on the BDO circuit. Do you think a number of established players in the PDC who lose their tour cards, do you think they might go down the BDO route the same as you have?
Yeah, well, why not? It's a choice you can make in life. I mean, there's options there which you can go and still keep playing darts. If you want to play darts, there's place you can go. Even if you don't get your tour card, you still have a challenge tour. You still do the BDO. You can do things in between because options now that the BDO have let them doors open a little bit, where they welcome players who haven't got the tour card to come and play either side in opens and such. So it just gives that player more of a scope to play more darts.
No, without question. And obviously, your first focus will be on the BDO World Championship, of course, in January. But beyond that, in 2020, have you got plans to go to Q School? I know you went last year.
Yeah, also 2020 World Championship is my foremost thing at the moment, and I'm preparing for that at the moment, doing a lot of practice. And obviously after that, I have put my mind, I am going to go to Q School because I think I need to have one more bash at the PDC. I started there, I want to finish there. Nothing against the BDO. It's just the BDO's a good step for me. It's done good for me, but at the end of the day, if I don't get a tour card, there's still places I can still play darts. But foremost, I want a tour card.
No, of course. And I mean, you mentioned there your games maybe not as consistent as it was, but you are still playing some great darts. You hit a couple of 9 darters in competition this year. So do you believe if you did win your PDC tour card back, you can still achieve great things in the PDC?
Yeah, I believe I can. I'm not saying I'm going to get there, but as long as I believe I can get to my best and compete and beat big players, I'm sure I can get there again. I've got the experience. I've been there, so I know that side of the game. I just need to get my consistency together properly, which is only concentration. If everything's done properly, I have nothing else to worry about. Just play darts. I'm sure my game will come on full-fold.
Well, that's brilliant. Andy, I wish you all the very best of luck for the BDO World Championship coming up and hopefully 2020 and beyond. Thanks for joining us, Andy.
Cheers, Josh. Great talking to you, pal. Try, mate.
Josh's Dartistry, Josh's Dartistry, Josh's Dartistry, Josh's Dartistry.
Well, there we go, guys. Pretty conclusive from what we were discussing earlier. Andy giving his thoughts on all things, as well as the outside of the BDO World Masters. But yeah, he did give us a real insight into what went on there, Josh, didn't he?
He did, and I think he backs up what we're saying. He feels he's been very welcomed by the BDO players. He enjoys life in the BDO, but he's just desperately disappointed at the situation and the lack of communication and the transparency. He was constructive in what he said. Obviously, it's just about trying to learn now because they can't afford another repeat of this at the World Championships in 2020.
Neil, Andy confirming some of the rumours and stuff that we'd heard that went on, and just to don't want to go over it again too much, but yeah, just confirms.
Yeah, I think it's disappointing for him, isn't it? I mean, we're talking about a PDC World Championship finalist that's played in front of the biggest crowds that darts has to offer. And all the when can you say that a PDC event isn't well organised? It just doesn't happen. So for him, I guess it's about professionalism, and it must be very difficult for him to, having been a finalist in the World Championships in the PDC, to experience what he did.
Okay, well, our thanks go out to Andy for taking the time to have a chat with Josh. Andy, you're always welcome on the JDP, and we thank you for giving up your time.
You're listening to Josh's Dartistry. Don't forget, you can check us out on Facebook by going to the Josh's Dartistry page. You can follow us on Twitter at Josh's Dartistry, or go to the website www.joshsdartistry.com for all the latest news and insight into the world of darts. You can also leave us a comment or a question via our voicemail box. Just call 07739 738 329 and leave us a message, and we may play it live on air. Now back to the show.
Hi, this is Rod Stud from Sky Sports, and you're listening to Josh's Dartistry podcast.
Right then, folks, it's now time to get some odds.
Cool, what are the odds?
Please allow me to hand you over to a resident odds checker, Mr. Neil Connor.
Thank you, John. Now, before I start, a little update on the World Series of Darts.
Yes,
finals.
please. Yes.
So this is episode 19 of the Josh's Dartistry podcast.
It is.
We have one expert and two wannabe experts.
Apprentices.
Two guys who have got big darting egos. I've just seen Danny Noppert do his walk for the final.
Oops.
So I think he won 11-10 against Chizzy, took out a really good 102 to win the match. So,
Arthur Chisnell missed 2 match darts.
Indeed. So
we were wrong, Josh. Just hold your hands up and admit
we
were
were.
wrong.
I'm very pleased for Danny, though.
Yeah.
Really pleased for him.
John, you're normally one that will back the underdog.
Yeah.
And this time you ddidn't.
Well, I would suggest in a final against Michael van Gerwen, Chizzy is an underdog.
Yeah, but he was. Chizzy,
well, you backed him to lose 11-2.
Chizzy was very much the favourite to.
There's a lot of reversing going on around this
to
table.
Make the final. Anyway, moving swiftly on. Okay, so firstly, we're going to have a look at the Players' Championship, the upcoming Players' Championship that starts on the 22nd of November.
Where's that coming from, Josh?
That's going from Minehead Butlins, the home of World Darts.
Oi.
Wonderful. That'll be a cracking atmosphere up there. So this is the end of season event for the Pro Tour, the Players' Championship. What's the qualification mechanism, Josh? Just remind us of that.
It's a 64-player field, and it's solely based on the Players' Championship events, as Neil mentioned. So the top 64 players after the 30 Players' Championship events. So a few big players missing out. Gary Anderson being the notable one. Obviously, he missed a lot of events earlier in the year due to his back injury. Played in a few towards the latter stages of the season, but didn't get enough money to qualify. All the other big players are going to be there, but the seeding's a little bit up and down. They're based on the order of merit for the Players' Championship, not the world ranking. So Gerwen Price is top seed. Michael van Gerwen is well down in 18th because he's missed a lot of events. So imagine being the 47th seed, you draw the 18th seed, it's Michael van Gerwen. You're going to be devastated.
Heartbroken, yeah.
So I don't think that's going to bother Michael van Gerwen too much. So looking at the odds brought to us by William Hill for the Players' Championship, Michael van Gerwen 6-4 favourite for the tournament. So maybe that is a slightly reflective of the fact that he's not seeded number one as he is in.
He could have a tougher draw earlier on.
Yeah, so normally we've seen him around odds on, around evens, and we're seeing 6-4. So
I think if he wins this match against Nopper and lifts the trophy, you might see those odds shorten very quickly.
I suspect we probably
and
will.
if he wins the Grand Slam after that.
Yeah.
So I might have a little punt now on that because I think there's a bit of value there. Second favourite is Peter Wright, 9-1. Rob Cross that we spoke about earlier, 12-1. And then Price and Gurney at 16s.
Rob Cross, 42nd seed.
Yeah.
Real surprise.
Again, quite a big price at 12-1.
I love these second favourite prices that we get for these tournaments after Michael van Gerwen.
Yeah,
it's
it just
incredible,
shows
isn't
you
it?
how dominant he is. So then looking down, 33-1, Jose de Souza, Josh. Tell us what you know about him.
Well, Jose appeared at the World Championships last year. Kind of came from nowhere, really. Came through the Portuguese qualifier. Won his tour card in January. Been a revelation. Won 2 Pro Tour titles over the last couple of months. Played some fantastic darts. Can't count for toffee, but really entertaining to watch. A real talented player.
Okay, and then further down, we've got Brendan Dolan at 100-1, a recent winner of a Pro Tour.
2 Pro Tours.
2 Pro Tour events. Anyone else that we...
Have you got any odds there for Raymond van Barneveld?
50-1.
50-1.
He's playing well, but he's I believe, let me check, he's 53rd seed. But he's got obviously the number 12, which is Nathan Aspinall. The Aspie playing really good darts at the moment, UK Open champion this year. So that's a real tough first round.
And you can
game.
get Nathan at 28-1 with William Hill.
Now, I remember a few episodes ago you said you talked about a Barney fairy tale, not necessarily winning a tournament, but going quite deep and you know having that sort of glory fairy tale moment towards the end of his career. Do you see it happening in the Players' Championship? Maybe getting to a semi-final or a final?
I'm not sure about that. There's going to be one last hurrah, and what are the biggies left? So we've got the Grand Slam, which he's not qualified for yet.
Not currently, no. The Players' Championship finals and obviously the Worlds.
Yeah, so one of those three, I think that we'll see some progress, but it may not be this one.
I thought it might have been this weekend.
I was going to say maybe he missed out his chance with the World Series final.
I know obviously Danny Noppert's beaten Dave Chisnall in the semis since, but I would have fancied Barneveld's chance if he'd have beaten Dave Chisnall in the quarters. But he's playing good darts. There's every opportunity still left at the Worlds.
Anything else for us, Neil?
Yeah, so let's switch to the BDO. Odds brought to us by Sporting Bet and the BDO World Championships in 2020. So looking at the men's event, the tournament favourite, and this shows the difference between how much Michael van Gerwen dominates the PDC and how open it is in the BDO. So we've got Jim Williams at 5-1, Wesley Harms 15-2. We've got Veenstra 8-1, Waits 10-1, Mitchell 14-1, Bennett 14-1, and then Unterbuchner 18-1. One of the names Josh mentioned earlier, Vanden Bodegaard 25-1, and Adam Smith Neal 33-1.
Yeah, so there's a bit more of an even spread there, isn't it, of people that could possibly go deep in that tournament.
A couple of cracking ties, by the way. They did the draw for the BDO World Championship the other day.
Yeah.
We've got Scott Mitchell taking on Leighton Bennett, the young teenage sensation. That could be a cracking first round tie. And also 2 former champions clashing in round 1. Scott Waits, 2-time winner, against Martin Adams.
Wolfie's
back in the BDO World Championship, so that should be a cracking game.
Yeah, great news. Great to see Wolfie back, Neil.
Just having another look. John O'Shea, the winner of the World Darts Masters, 25-1 as well. So a man in form. May be worth having a look at.
Yeah, good value there.
Lovely. Neil, have you got the ladies' odds there for us?
I have got the ladies' odds. So, unsurprisingly, Lisa Ashton, 3-2 with Sporting Bet to take home the BDO Women's World Championship. And then I'll just run down some of the others. So, we've got Greaves at 9-2, Suzuki 6-1, Dobromoslova 9-1, Eileen de Graaf 11-1, Farron Sherrick and Dieter Hedman 12-1. Anyone else that you want?
Just going to mention, obviously, we talked about Leighton Bennett. 13 years old. Well, he'll be 14 by the time he makes his debut. But also Bo Greaves had a fantastic year on the BDO circuit. She's only currently 15 years of age.
Yeah.
She'll be 16.
Second favourite, 9-2.
She's got Trina Gulliver, first round.
Have you got Maria O'Brien there, Neil?
Yep, 40-1.
40-1 Maria O'Brien.
Reached the semi-finals last year. Dangerous
Yeah.
player on the day.
That's a lot of value in that one.
Maybe worth an each-way punt.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, cool. BDO World Champs, excellent stuff. Thank you, Neil. Have you got anything else for us, mate?
No, I think that's all for this episode.
Okay, they are your odds. Hopefully, that's given you some ideas of where to put your money if you do fancy a bet over the next couple of tournaments. And as always, please remember to gamble responsibly. And when the fun stops, stop.
Cool, what are the odds?
Hi, it's Adrian Lewis, and you're listening to Josh's Dartistry podcast.
Okay then, welcome back, and it's now time for Challenge Josh.
Challenge Josh.
Okay, quick World Series of Darts final update. Van Gerwen leads Danny Knopp at 9-1. Best of 21. Josh, I think looks inevitable from here on in, doesn't it?
It does. It's difficult in these sort of tournaments when you play 3 tournaments in a day. Danny's literally played a massive game in the semi-finals, just won 10-9 against Chizzy, or 11-10.
Yeah.
And then 20 minutes later, he's back out for the final. It's very tough to get
Not
yourself
easy.
up.
Michael, he's on a 9-darter here.
9-darter.
Needs 1-4-1.
Treble 20 live coverage.
Got
He's got the treble.
Oh!
It's always the 8th dart, treble 19.
Didn't hit it.
Great effort from Michael.
Okay, but he only needs 2 to wrap that up.
He's in the madhouse.
Beating Chizzy was probably Danny Knopp at the final, to be fair to him.
Yeah,
I think Josh is trying to delay the inevitable.
Delay the inevitable. Okay, you know the drill. 15 questions from Neil to our resident expert, Josh Gorton. We'd like to try and trip him up as much as we can along the way. I'm looking forward to finding out what the subject matter is for this episode of Challenge Josh. So, without further ado, let me hand you over to resident quizmaster, Mr. Neil Connor.
Thank you, John. The subject matter is the World Series of Darts.
Oh, dun dun dun! World Series of Darts.
No matter what I say it is, it could be Josh Gorton, and he'd still screw up his face. Like
I struggle with that.
I was trying to do him a misservice.
Okay, Neil, so you got 15 questions primed, have you?
I have, so let's get this moving.
Okay, here we go then with question number 1.
In which year was the World Series of Darts first held?
$2013.
Yeah, that is correct. 2013.
It's always unconvincing when you're unpausing that much on question 1.
I enjoyed that.
Okay, 1 out of 1. Avoided the banana in the first question. Let's go, Neil, to question number 2.
Who is, for the next few minutes, the defending champion?
James Wade.
Yeah, do you know what? I forgot Wade was the defending champion. I forgot all about that.
He won 2, didn't he? One after the other, European
Euros.
Championships.
And Clayton's knocked him out of both.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Okay, 2 out of 2. Let's move it on then to question number 3.
Which player has competed in 5 finals and lost every single one?
Was that a swear word that just tripped from Josh's lips?
Don't cut that.
Raymond van Barneveld.
I feel that was less of a question, more of a dig. That wasn't very nice, Josh, was it? I think there's some deliberate provocation going on there.
I agree with you, John, but I'm going to be positive and say at least he's reached 5 finals.
Absolutely.
No,
Be
but-
the bigger man and rise above it.
But when you're researching for this and you're looking at tables with stats and everything on it, that was one thing that stood
That's
out.
fair enough. I don't hold it against you, Neil.
And gave me everything that I needed.
Poor old Barney, bless his heart. Okay, 3 out of 3. Let's go to question number 4.
Who shocked the darting world by winning the Brisbane Darts Masters earlier this year? And who was his opponent?
In the Damon Heta and he beat Rob Cross in the final.
Yeah, I remember discussing that on the last show. Fantastic win for Heta, Josh, and hopefully he can kick on after that win.
Yeah, disappointing. Lost to Sulovic first round here.
Yeah.
Looked quite fatigued, whether it was jet lag, obviously coming from Australia, but he's qualified for the PDC World Championship.
Yeah.
So another opportunity for him to produce his best there.
Yeah, we'll look forward to seeing him at the Worlds. That is 4 out of 4, I believe. So let's go to question number 5.
In which year were the World Series of Darts finals first held?
Could you just repeat the question for me, please, Neil?
In which year were the World Series of Darts finals first held? So, for a certain number of years, there was just the World Series of Darts events.
Yeah, and then the finals.
Then we have the finals night, or the finals tournament.
Okay, so if we're working on the basis that 2013, as you've already told us, was the World Series, how soon until the finals came around? Josh is doing some working on his pad. I can tell that Van Gerwen still leads 10-2, looking for that final leg victory to pick up the World Series of Darts trophy.
You might have had the final score right, John.
Yeah, I did. I called 11-2, didn't I? Wrong opponent, but I might have got the score right.
Josh, staring at the telly isn't going to help you.
No, tough one, this. I'm going to guess... It's a bit of a punt. 2015?
It was a punt, but it was correct. 2015, Neil.
Impressive.
Yeah, he's done well. Okay, 5 out of 5. Well worked out. Van Gerwen throwing for double 10 to win it, and he's missed it.
I like it when he has to sweat, not Van Gerwen, Josh.
Yeah, he's not sweating much in this final.
Okay, while we're waiting for MVG to wrap it up, let's move on to question number 6.
What was the first ever World Series of Darts event held?
The Dubai Darts Masters?
And Neil sort of... Hang on a minute. I reckon there could be a stewards in this because Neil's sort of umming and ahhing about whether that's the correct answer. Neil, what are you thinking? What's going through your head?
I'm going to give it to him.
Okay, let's give him the point. Well done.
It was the Dubai Duty-Free Darts Masters.
Okay, that's fair enough. It's a good stab. And before we move on, Michael Van Gerwen is your World Series of Darts final winner. He's just thrown to win that 11-2. So yeah, I did get the score right in the end. Just the wrong opponent. Josh, instant reaction. Van Gerwen, another win.
Very dominant. 11-4, beating Melentsov Sulovic in the semi-finals. 11-2 in the final. 3 titles in the space of a month. He's in prime position now as he heads for the Grand Slam and hopefully the World Championship later this year.
Neil, an absolutely fantastic year so far from Michael Van Gerwen. And I'm sure we all expect him to kick on. He's not finished yet, is he?
No, he's not. And I was talking to Josh as we were having a bit of a break and having some food. Who can beat him at the Worlds? And we were struggling.
Cross?
He's beaten him before, but a lot of the top players, as me and Neil were saying, have got really poor records against him and haven't beaten him on TV for a long while.
It's going to need someone to peak.
It's going to need
and catch him on a bad night.
Yeah, it's going to need Phil Taylor to come out of retirement for me, and I think he's the only man who's up to the job.
A dangerous non-seed to maybe produce a great first round performance. Best of 5 sets is probably the shorter format. The better chance you got of beating him.
Anyone in mind?
Barney, Raymond van Barneveld.
Your words, not mine. Your words.
Okay, 6 out of 6. Question 7. Who was the winner of the inaugural Dubai Duty-Free Darts Masters? And who did he beat?
Michael Van Gerwen beat Raymond van Barneveld.
That is correct. Another little dig at Barney.
It wasn't really. And the score, Josh?
Oh, additional information required.
No. He's got the answer.
I don't know. I think was it 10 or 11-7, something like that.
Yeah, it was 11-7.
11-7. Good, well done.
And that was held at the Dubai Tennis Centre.
Outdoors event.
Wasn't it the casino rooms? No.
No.
Moving on.
And I won't be anytime soon either.
Not but they're just raising the runners-up trophy, Josh.
Well done.
Good tournament for Danny.
Yeah, on the verge of breaking into the top 32. Obviously, this is a non-ranked event, but even so, it's great progress for Danny. Underlines the improvement in his game. He going to take a lot of confidence from this.
And Neil, a superb final for the Dutch fans in the heart of Amsterdam.
Yeah, I think that was quite fitting. I think if they could have chose the all Dutch final they wanted, it probably wasn't the one they did. But as a consolation prize, Danny in the final with Michael.
Okay, Neil, let's have question number 8.
How many ranking points does the winner of a World Series of Darts event get? So these are ranking points in terms of contributing to the qualification process for the World Series of Darts finals.
Tough one, that.
I had to dig in to do some research on this.
Hand is over his mouth.
I've got 2 answers in my head, and I'm not sure which.
Yeah, I'm looking for one.
Thank you, Neil. So helpful.
So ranking points.
I'm going to guess. Well, not guess. I'm going to go for
Educated guess.
12.
Pulls it out the bag, and there's a rather smug look on his face there. Neil, we quite enjoyed that.
There is, but I do like these questions where he really has to.
Yeah,
think,
I'm being made to
about
really
it.
work.
It's good. So the winner of any of the events, the World Series of Darts events, get 12 points. The runner-up gets 8 points. The semi-finalist gets 5 points. Quarter-finalist 3 points, and the first round loser 1 point.
Good knowledge. We're 8 out of 8 so far.
We are.
He's smashed it so
but
far.
he's there's some difficult ones to come.
Got some curveballs coming.
Well, not curveballs as such, but he's managing to.
He's managing to stay ahead of the curve.
He is. So let's see where we go. Question 9. What is the prize money for winning a World Series?
Oh, he's shaking his head already.
Of darts event, and for the final. So there's more for the final, and do not look round at the TV
because they're about to present a great big check.
I don't want to see one of those big bouncy checks being.
You mean for the World Series of Finals?
Right. So something like the Brisbane Masters. What would you get for winning that? And then what's Michael van Gerwen just won for winning the finals?
This could be a tough one, I reckon.
It's a tough one, yeah.
To catch him out.
It's not as much for winning the individual events as you think. 25,000
for which one are we going for there?
For the individual.
Okay.
25,000 for the individual.
And for the final? I do need 2 correct answers.
100,000.
Incorrect. Neil, give us the details.
Okay, so for winning one of the events, not the final, it's £20,000. That doesn't seem much when you're travelling halfway or across the world.
No, it's not as much as you think. That's what I'm
business
saying.
class flight, 10k maybe.
Still, I bet they're told about what the prize money is before they start competing, unlike other tournaments.
Let's not go there. And the winner tonight, Michael van Gerwen, will get £70,000.
Yeah, again, not as much as you think. But
I
I
suppose
it's a 3-day event, isn't it? So.
Yeah. Nice.
That's not show jumping, Josh.
Very nice. Okay, so we are. You are 9 out. No, you've got 8 out of 9. 8 out of 9. We managed to trip him up. Let's move on to question number 10.
What venue hosted the World Series of Darts finals between 2015 and 2017?
The Hydro in Scotland.
That is incorrect, Neil.
He didn't seem confident there, so it was the Braehead Arena in Glasgow, Scotland. Unlucky.
Another one wrong. Okay, Neil, let's have question number 11.
There's no trick questions in here.
Good. That's what I like.
Okay, which player has won 6 of the 7 World Series of Darts finals that he's played in? There's a bit of momentum building here.
Are you including the World Series finals in that?
Yeah, I think so.
God,
you think
he
so?
thinks so.
I can check.
I love it when the research leaves a lot to be desired. Josh is not confident on the answer. Neil's not confident on the question, and I'm not confident in the pair of you. Oh dear. Okay, Neil, can you just reread the question for us again?
Yeah. Which player has won 6 of the 7 finals in World Series events that he's competed?
6 of the 7. There's a pout and a nod, so I think Josh may have an answer.
There's 2. It's a toss-up for me. There's 2. And it's Phil Taylor or Gary Anderson.
Yeah.
So it's just which one I
Yeah, it's got to be one of the 2, and it's got to be. I know which one I'd go for. I'd always plump for my favourite, but you never know. That could be a bit obvious, and that's maybe why Neil's thrown it in there.
My first thought was Gary Anderson, but there's something in the back of my mind that's saying he's only won 5. I could be wrong. I could be wrong. It's a 50-50 choice for me, unless it's neither of them. I look like an absolute idiot, but I'm going to guess Phil Taylor.
You're going to guess Phil Taylor?
Imagine it wasn't. Phil Taylor is incorrect, Neil.
Gary Anderson?
It was Gary Anderson.
I love it if you'd have said no. Gary Anderson, there we go.
So he has won in 2016 the Dubai Masters, the Auckland Masters and the Tokyo Masters. In 2017 he won the Dubai Masters and the Perth Masters, and in 2018 the US Masters.
Impressive record, Josh.
Very impressive. Yeah, all rather recent as well.
Okay, that's another one wrong. That's 3 wrong now, isn't it? 3 wrong.
8 out of 11, is it, Josh?
11.
Yes,
Okay.
I'm hoping for 10, but it'll be a bit
so
of a
it's about
push.
75, almost 75%.
Right, let's have question number 12.
Who holds the record average in a World Darts Series event?
A shrug of the shoulders, Neil. This could be the worst Josh's can't even speak. This could be the worst challenge Josh performance for many a month.
That's what we're hoping.
Which player?
Yes.
You didn't want the number.
No, which player?
Which player holds the record for an average in a World Series of Darts event?
It was in 2016.
Clues?
Is it Dubai?
Against Kim Hybrex.
Kim Hybrex. (2016) against Kim Hybrex.
Let me see the World Series finals then. That has thrown a spanner in the works, that.
Josh is doing his usual when he gets flummoxed and challenged Josh and backing off the microphone so nobody can hear what he's saying.
Apologies.
Does annoy me.
Okay, are you going to have a guess?
Michael van Gerwen.
Incorrect.
It was Dave Chisnell.
Chizzy!
And the average versus Kim Hybrex in 2016 was 112.94.
I wasn't one I was thinking of, to be fair. I'd never have got that one.
Chizzy. Okay, that's another one wrong. That's 4 wrong, Josh.
Yep. Tough one this week.
Wow.
Is it tough?
Well, did you know it?
Oh, it'd be tough for the likes of me and you, us mere mortals, Neil.
Yeah.
But somebody who professes to be an expert in their field, I would,
Especially without the curveballs as well.
Yeah.
These are facts.
Anyway, let's see if we can ruin him a little bit more. Move on to question, unlucky for some, number 13.
Who were the sponsors?
Oh, he's not good on sponsors. He got a sponsors question wrong last time.
Do you know who the sponsors of the 2019 finals were?
Jack's Casino.
Well done. However, that is
I was just about to press the correct button then.
Who were the sponsors of the 2018 World Series of Darts finals?
I genuinely think he got the point then with Jack's Casino.
Oh, that's mean. That
You
is,
set him up,
You
Neil.
dangled the carrot.
You set him up beautifully.
Ladbrokes.
JDP listeners, I hope you heard in the background the sigh then as Josh got that question wrong.
I hate these questions.
Neil, what's the answer?
B-Win.
Oh,
B-Win. B was sponsors
weird.
of Real
They
Madrid.
got sponsored the Grand Slam as well last year.
Another one. How many wrongs is that? I'm losing
5.
count. That's 5 wrong. God.
The reason Jack's Casino stuck with me is because it's one of the online gambling things that I haven't yet joined. So I shall do that when I get home.
5 wrong? 5 wrong. How are you going to show your face in the office next week? 5 wrong.
No comment.
Okay, question number 14. Here we go.
Since the World Series of Darts started, how many countries have been visited?
That's definitely another swear word then. Definitely.
This is ridiculous.
Definitely another swear word.
The thing is, there's not a lot of information on the internet about the World Series of Darts, So the fact that it took me a long time to compile these questions, I needed to make sure that I got some satisfaction from them.
The problem is, Neil, he's now writing all these countries down that he thinks are going to be included in a list, which obviously doesn't make for great podcasting. But in the meantime, let's have a look at that wonderful shirt that Chris Mason is wearing on screen right now, Neil.
Yeah, well, to be fair to him, it's poppies.
It's poppies, isn't it? Yeah, for Remembrance Weekend.
Yeah,
so.
you can.
But Mace the Ace, he does love a dapper shirt, doesn't he?
Yeah,
Dresses very well,
a
Mace.
bit like yourself, John. He's a bit eccentric. That one you're wearing today is laughable material.
With a cockerel on my chest,
yes,
do you mean?
Indeed. Interestingly, that we're both sitting here in our football shirts.
We are both sitting here in our football shirts, proud to represent our clubs, proud of our captains as well. I don't know if Josh can say the same about his team at the moment. There was some tears at bedtime the other night, wasn't there, Neil, with Granit Xhaka being booed from the pitch.
Yeah, and Josh was there booing him.
He was. Jackie Oakley on screen. Jackie's doing a lot of work for Sky Sports now. She's a presenter on Sky Sports News.
Yeah, I've seen that.
Yeah, lovely.
Excellent addition to the team.
Brilliant stuff. Right, Josh, you got some sort of an semblance of an answer?
Well, I'm just working on it at the moment.
It's not a project.
So that's the answer to my question then is no. You don't have an answer.
Surely I've got to be given the nearest one or two here. I mean, we've got an absolute...
Well, that's down to the Quizmaster.
Are you including, by the way, the World Series finals? I take it they're included.
Yes.
Yeah,
I'll give you a tolerance of 1.
Thank you.
So you can be spot on.
So if
one
it's
up or one
15,
down.
14 or 16 would be okay.
Yeah, 14, 15 or 16.
It might be 15.
It might be 22. You never know. He's got quite a lot of countries written down there. I don't think there's ever been a World Series of Darts event held in Timbuktu, Josh. I don't know if that's right.
Maybe next year.
Right, Josh, first of all, I want a number. I want a total number of countries.
Well, I'm just trying to make sure I haven't written the same one down. There's so many. You don't realise how many they actually visit. Quite impressive. Flipping hell.
Oh, he's just remembered another one. Did you forget Holland?
No, I've written down Amsterdam rather than Holland.
Can you talk into the microphone, please?
That famous country, Holland.
That famous country.
We want our
Amsterdam.
listeners to experience your pain.
He's tightening
okay,
up
so
now.
we need to press you for an answer.
He's tightening up now.
11.
He's gone for 11. That is.
Well,
That is
it's actually 10.
right, but we gave him that degree of error.
Of 1.
I've added a country.
Okay, so let's work out which country you added. So
I've got on my list here.
yeah,
Dubai, Singapore, Japan, Australia, New Zealand, Scotland, Vienna, Netherlands, USA, China. Oh, I wrote Japan twice. So that's why I've got 11. That explains it.
So he did have the answer.
But it confirms the correctness of my research.
Yeah. Well done. Okay, so he's got that one correct. Good. Salvaged
What's
something.
that? 4 or 5 wrong?
That's 5 wrong.
9 out of 14.
We've got one more question to go. So Neil, last question. Let's have number 15.
What is the name of the arena where the Melbourne Masters is held, and what other sporting event takes place there? I like this question because I had to.
It'll be some ridiculously remote event that.
Really?
I get a feeling, Neil, this was your back pocket question in case things were going particularly well.
Not really,
for
I
Josh.
thought you'd get it. It's a famous sporting event. What is the name of the arena where the Melbourne Masters is held, and what other sporting event takes place there?
Just trying to think of other famous Australian sporting events outside of the Ashes.
Well, I was trying to think about the tennis, but it wouldn't be. I don't think it'd be the Australian. You're not going to the Australian Open in the blooming arena like that. Yeah,
well, I don't know.
It flummoxed me.
Could be. You think of some of the World Series events that we've seen in big, well, not just World Series events, in big stadiums,
I'm pretty sure
or football
it's not.
stadiums, or
Can't be being snooker.
could it be like MCG cricket ground, or
No, it's definitely not the MCG.
Not that big.
No.
They had a WWE event in the MCG recently.
Did they really?
Last year, they had a big wrestling event in the MCG last year.
What an embarrassment. No idea. I've got a pass.
You're not even going to have a stab. You're not going to go for the Melbourne Village Hall, or no.
Not. I'm trying to think of the sporting event. That's what's really flummoxed me. Famous sporting event.
Come on, Em.
No, pass.
That is incorrect. Neil, what you got? I know what's coming.
So it's formerly known as the Hisense Arena.
Yeah.
which has now been renamed the Melbourne Arena.
Okay.
Which takes place in Melbourne Park, which is where the Australian Open tennis is.
There we go. I knew you'd nailed it. I knew you'd said it. And you gave it up. You dismissed it.
I dismissed my own thinking.
I love that question.
I knew it was. So that is incorrect. Neil, that is 6 wrong in my book.
It is.
That is 9 out of 15 and arguably represents your poorest effort in many an episode, Josh. Talk me through your thoughts right now.
The problem is, whenever I do have a good episode, Neil is hell-bent on revenge.
No, there was nothing in that other than I had to do the research. There was nothing in there that made me think I'm going to make this difficult for him. That last question, I looked down all the arenas and places that had held them and thought I'll try and make it slightly different by adding in where other sporting events had held. And the Vegas ones had been boxing fights and UFC fights. But to make it as simple as possible, well, I thought it would be simple. I went for the Australian one.
See, we sit around this table every few weeks and we discuss people's performance, and we say, Peter Wright missed 3 match-winning darts, and we say things like Dave Chisnell can't win a TV match against Michael van Gerwen, and we say that, Adrian Lewis is bang out of form, and, we don't know if he'll ever win another world title again. I think sometimes, Neil, being able to criticise your own performance can be quite cathartic.
It can.
And I think it's something, Josh, that you should probably reflect on.
I think what we've just seen is the equivalent of the double in, double out game where you never doubled in and your opponents doubled out.
No.
I just need to revise title sponsors every bloody time they get me.
Do you revise for this?
I don't know.
I bet he does. I bet he does.
I would if I knew the subject. I would.
Well, that was John's idea. That one.
It was a good one.
Okay, excellent. Well, 9 out of 16. Unlucky job. Oh, sorry, not.
You weren't quite. Let's give me a bit of credit.
It's not go overboard. 9 out of 15. My apologies. Is absolutely terrible, Josh. And
it's not that bad.
It's terrible. And we look forward to embarrassing you on next episode's Challenge Josh.
Challenge Josh.
This is Nathan Aspinall, and you're listening to Josh's Dartistry.
Okay, welcome back to the show. Let's get some stories in the news.
News.
Okay, Josh, mentioned it at the top of the show. Let's start off with the story that was doing the rounds on social media this week regarding Corey Cadby. Some troubling news coming out.
Indeed. I mean, we haven't seen Corey now since he appeared in the World Series back in August. We haven't seen him on the PDC Tour in a ranking event since the summer.
Going to be in danger of losing his tour card, surely.
He's going to be, yes. He didn't qualify for the World Championship a couple of years ago, so he hasn't got money to defend there. But if someone outside the top 64 has a good run at the Worlds, they could overtake him, and he could lose his tour card, and he'd have to then go to Q School and try and win it back. But there was a news article published. It was doing the rounds on social media. I covered it on my website also. I noticed on Facebook a search warrant was issued for Corey Cadby by Wyndham Police in Victoria. I don't know if that's a correct pronunciation or not. Apologies if not. But yeah, police in Victoria in Australia issued a warrant for Corey Cadby, which stated he had failed to appear in court last month. And I believe it was related to a driving issue, a traffic issue. And he then posted on Facebook, he said, "Cheers for the heads up, I appreciate it. But for the people who are interested about what you're seeing, with everything that's been going on, I missed a court date in regards to an alleged driving with no licence, which I do have, but I did attend court after the date I missed." So Corey's insisting there's no issue there.
I think the article and the way it was posted made it a little bit more dramatic than it was. They posted like a mugshot photo of him, didn't they?
They did, as if he was on the run.
Yeah, have you seen this man wanted? Yeah, it was almost as he was on the run for a terrible crime, wasn't it? Yeah.
Which is obviously not the case when you delve deeper into it, but Corey's been absent now for a long time. Whether it will affect any visa issues going forward, we don't know. It's just speculation at this point. But
yeah, whilst it was overly dramatic, it's still not a positive news story from the Cadby camp, is it?
No, and I think after the last episode, everyone had kind of hoped that it would blow over and he would just get on as a very talented darts player. But as you say, I mean, it might be not much of a story at all. Sometimes the journalists do blow these things out of proportion. So
I don't know what you mean.
Hopefully that will be the end of it.
Okay, moving on. Josh, I think you're going to bring us some news about the BDO entrance for the Grand Slam.
Yeah, I am. I was going to mention the BDO World Championship draw, but we covered that earlier in the odds section with Neil. So a few weeks ago now, the 8 picks for the Grand Slam of darts for the BDO were confirmed. Obviously, there's still a few outstanding picks for the PDC. So the 8 qualifiers are Glenn Durrant is one of the BDO picks. Again, might cause a few question marks because he's currently a PDC player.
But qualifies as their world champion.
He qualifies as their world champion. I think the PDC were desperate to have him in.
Yeah.
A tournament without Glenn Durrant is not going to be as prestigious, it's not going to be as exciting. So Glenn merits his pick as BDO world champion or reigning champion. We then got Mikuru Suzuki, reigning ladies champion. She's been included. There were rumours about Leighton Bennett, 13-year-old world youth champion, being included. That has obviously not come to fruition. I think maybe it's more of a safeguarding issue for Leighton. He's still young in his career. There's plenty of time for him yet. Would have caused a great amount of publicity, great amount of interest, but he's not been included. Also, Lisa Ashton, we saw her at the PDC World Championship last year. She will also be making her Grand Slam debut. You got Wesley Harms, currently top-ranked player in the BDO system. Jim Williams, we mentioned him in the odds section for the BDO World Championship. Another Dutchman in Richard Veenstra. And then we've got Dave Parletti and Wayne Warren making their debuts at the Grand Slam. So they're the 8 picks for the BDO.
Neil, who are you looking forward to out of those BDO picks? Who are you looking forward to seeing most up on the big stage?
I'd like to see Lisa Ashton again, I think I alluded to on the last episode or the one before. She performed a really good, strong first set in the qualifying game at the World Championships last year. So I'm interested to see how her and Suzuki actually fare again.
It's a short format in the group stages. They play 3 group games. That's the great thing about the Grand Slam for the maybe lesser names, or not lesser names, but it's best of 9 legs, and you're guaranteed to have 3 bites at the cherry. So
strange one that with Durrant, though, isn't it? Because he's now a PDC player, yet he's been picked by the BDO.
I think the PDC had quite a big influence, which it's their tournament at the end of the day. They invite the BDO across, so I think it was mainly a PDC influenced selection from what I've read.
Okay, thank you, gentlemen. Josh, history made at Players Championship 29. Tell us what went on.
The standard on the Pro Tour now is just astronomical, and we saw that with Peter Wright in the penultimate Players Championship event against Krzysztof Ratajski. He set a new broadcast record average. It wasn't a televised average, but it was on the streaming boards. He beat Krzysztof Ratajski 6-0 with an average of 123.50.
It's absolute madness, isn't it, Neil?
It's insane.
It is, and I think it shows what good nick he's been in of late. Interestingly, he didn't go on to win, did he?
No, Brendan Dolan went on to win the event. Yeah. Although Peter Wright did make amends the following day and won the final Players Championship event. So culminates from a very successful 2 days for Peter Wright, that was.
A lot of arguing on social media amongst darts fans, Josh, about, the fact of whether it was the best broadcast streamed, major, minor. At the end of the day, I just look at that average as an absolutely incredible achievement, regardless of the parameters we put around it.
Exactly. We saw Marco van Gerwen average 123.40. That was in the Premier League against Marco Smith a few years back now. That was over 8 legs when he won 7-1. But as you say, regardless of where it was held, where it was streamed, it's just incredible darts.
So that's PDC TV.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You
can be viewed live.
Just got to doff the cap to Peter Wright and say, what a performance, really.
Yeah, excellent news. Many congratulations to Peter for that, and we look forward to him continuing in his good form for the rest of the year. Finally, Josh, we got some more PDC World Championship qualifiers confirmed, haven't we?
We have there's so many events now taking place, and the qualifiers really are taking shape. One familiar face we've got is Devon Peterson. Dancing Devon will be back at Alexandra Palace. We saw him have a run to I think it was last 16 last year, which kept his tour card. He came through the African qualifier.
Always entertaining, Devon, isn't it? I mean, I know people talk about his walk-on and it being good fun and people getting involved in it, but a serious darts player as well, Josh.
Yeah, he averaged over 100 in terms of in qualifying, which is incredible darts, regardless of his opposition. So he's going to be a danger. He's played really well on the Pro Tour over the last 6 months, Devon. Boris Koltsov, Russian qualifier, come through. We've got Xiao Zheng Zong from China, and also Robbie King from Australia.
Sorry, can I just congratulate you on your pronunciation there? I thought that was excellent, Josh. Well
Thank
done.
you. Can I get an extra point for Challenge Josh for that?
Here we go.
Whee!
Loud that one, but yeah, well done.
There's still 13 more, as time of speaking, there's still 13 more qualifiers to be confirmed, but it is taking shape now.
Okay, fantastic stuff, and we look forward to more news on the World Championship qualifiers. Josh, any more news items for us?
No, that is all for this episode, John.
That is in the news.
News.
Hello, I'm John McDonald, and you're listening to Josh's Dartistry.
Okay, that almost brings us towards the end of the show, but it's time to answer your questions. This is Josh's Twitter chatter. Okay, Josh, we've had quite a few questions coming in on social media. We've had some on Twitter and on the Facebook page.
Flying in about 7 or 8 today, John.
Absolutely. Okay, I'll kick it off. Let's have a look at Twitter. Callum Wilco on Twitter. They've asked us to pick our 10 for the 2020 Premier League and also our thoughts on the contenders issue. Now, in terms of picking our 10 for the Premier League, I don't really think we can answer that with any structure just yet. I think I'd rather wait and see what happens within the next 2 upcoming tournaments.
Anyone you'd fancy to spring a surprise and come from nowhere to make it?
I'm just thinking aloud now. You've obviously got Van Gerwen, Cross, who's off the top 4 automatics. So Van Gerwen, Cross are automatics. Smith's currently in the automatic spots. Possibly Gary Anderson if he's fit. Peter Wright, I think, will be in it.
Durrant could be the surprise for me.
Aspinall
he has to be in. He's won the UK Open this year. Come on, Gerwin Price is an absolute must.
Box office.
100%. Mensur Suljovic, James Wade, they haven't won a tournament this year.
No.
There could be uncertainty about their spots. As you mentioned, it's Dave Chisnell really coming into contention. Yeah. It's tough to say.
I think we'll be in a better position to answer it probably in a couple of weeks' time. As we sort of enter into the early phases of the World Championships as well, Josh.
100%. Although in terms of the contenders concept, I personally would like it to stay. I think it really freshened up.
So there's not been an announcement on the format yet?
It's not been confirmed. I suspect the contenders concept will continue because I think the most interest was gained in the opening 9 weeks with all the different faces. I think it became a little bit predictable after the judgment night. The same players playing each other. I think the contenders concept was fresh and new, and I think it really has to stay from a marketing point of view. It's a no-brainer for me.
Well, I don't want to put words in Neil's mouth, but I think there might be some contention around the table.
Yeah, I am against it. For me, it's not a level playing field, and you could play someone brilliant one week, and someone else might play someone who performs poorly the next. What I would say is maybe if we do have an announcement before the next episode, that maybe that's our next competition to predict the 9 players or 10 players that will be forming the Premier League.
Yeah, potentially. Good idea.
I have to agree with Neil, but if you want to know our reasons, if you scroll back and listen to episode 11 or 12, I'm sure you can get up to date with all of our thoughts on the contenders issue. Not for me, I'm afraid, but it is what it is. Okay, we've also had a message on Twitter from @theIrishBlur. Thanks for messaging in. Richard says, so in the Republic of Ireland, we've felt for 2 years now that our darts is moving into a really good place. With John O'Shea, Katie Sheldon and Keane Barry winning tournaments, Kieran Tehan performing well and Willie and Steve making World Cup finals, do you think it's only up? Josh, the state of Irish darts, in your opinion, looking good?
Looking very good. I saw a little bit of Kieran Tehan in the BDO World Masters and I was really impressed. He looks like a real talent. Obviously, you can't forget Daryl Gurney, 2-time major winner, still in the top 6 of the PDC, and Brendan Dolan's having a resurgence as well. Obviously, Brendan coming from Northern Ireland, but winning 2 Pro Tours. So, John O'Shea winning the World Masters, it's in very rude health, I think.
I was going to say, John O'Shea, we've mentioned his name a couple of times already on this episode, haven't we?
We have indeed, yeah.
Okay, Josh, let's have a look on Facebook. I think you've got the Facebook page open in front of you. What questions have we had coming through there?
We've got a number of questions. One actually from Cam McAllister we've already covered. Cam asked, can you touch on where Corey Cabby is at? Hearing a lot of rumours. Not sure the real story. Love the pod. So thanks very much, Callum, for that. Thanks for listening. Hopefully we've covered the situation with Corey Cabby.
Sounds like he's at about 100 miles per hour.
Now.
But yeah, no, thanks for the feedback. We really appreciate that. Josh, what else you got?
Also, we've mentioned the Premier League. So I'm just going to touch quickly on a question from Tony Griff. He said, should Chisnell get back in the Premier League? I'll just start off with that. He's reached the World Grand Prix final. He's box office. He's a big 182, which they love. He hasn't won a major. That's the thing. And there's a lot of contenders. But I personally would have him in as of now.
On current form. I'd
form.
Agree.
Yeah.
Where's he ranked?
I believe he's ranked 11th in the world. So he's just missing out. But if it came down, not that I'm saying it's right, but if it came down to a choice between Ian White, who's number 10, and Dave Chisnell 11, I think they would pick Dave Chisnell, whether that's right or wrong. But we could have a completely new winner over the next 3 months that kind of blows it all open. But as of now, I would have Dave Chisnell. I don't know what you guys think.
Well, I'll tell you who's not getting in as of now, Adrian Lewis.
Yes, it's been another disappointing year for Adrian. He won won a Pro Tour event, beating Barney in the final earlier this year. We thought that might be the catalyst for him to really go on and get back to form, but he's struggled over the last few weeks, and his top 16 place is in danger.
Neil, any comments?
I think on form, Chisnell should be in. I think we've seen a resurgence over the past few weeks. So let's see if he can maintain it through the Grand Slam, the Players' Championship, and into the Worlds. And I think he'll have a very good chance.
I'll tell you who I'd love to see back in the Premier League, Josh. I don't know if it'll ever happen, but certainly improve his form this year. Stephen Bunting. I'd love to see him have another go.
I'm a big fan of Stephen. He's shown signs of resurgence this year. Quarter-final run at the World Match Play. Very talented player, really likeable guy. He's certainly on the way up. I still think it's a little bit early for the Premier League return as of yet, unless he does something incredible over the next couple of months. But certainly one to watch in 2020, yeah.
That scene of him with Raymond van Barneveld.
When Raymond took the mic, yeah.
Yeah, that will live long in the memory, that will. That was a fantastic match and a great night for darts and for Bunting. Okay, Josh, what else we got?
We've got a question now from Richard Stanway. Richard has asked, do you think the Grand Slam will contain BDO players in years to come? A lot of it may be dependent on the state of the BDO in a few years to come. We don't know. I understand it's now a ranking event, and I think a lot of people have issue with the fact that BDO players obviously don't, the money they win doesn't go to all their rankings in the PDC, so they're taking ranking money off other professionals. But it's a bit of a showcase event. It's great to see the codes kind of crossing over and playing each other, so I personally enjoy the BDO aspect. It would become an issue if they became uncompetitive, the BDO players, and were getting beaten convincingly. But over the last... We saw Scott Waits win it from the BDO. We've seen Glenn Durrant over the last few years have good runs. The BDO players always fare reasonably well there. So while they're competing and they're competitive, I think there's no reason to discontinue it.
Neil, the PDC, without being disrespectful to the PDC don't need the BDO players to make that tournament survive. But for me, it does add that extra incentive and makes it a really worthwhile tournament and creates real interest and buzz.
Yeah, and I think variety is very, very important. And I think it's good to see a handshake between both the PDC and the BDO for the Grand Slam. I see no reason why it shouldn't continue. The list that Josh rattled off of people that are competing, they're top players. So for me, it's a must that has to continue to keep that variety.
Okay, Josh, any more questions?
Yeah, a couple more. One from Andy Harland. He says, do you think Gerwen Price brings it on himself? He yelps constantly and surely can't expect not to get it back. I'm not saying he needs to be robotic and emotionless, but if he screams at a crowd, he must understand they will do it back.
Well, I'll kick this off. I've defended Gerwen Price time and time again on the show. The game needs characters. He certainly is a character. I don't want robots. I don't want people not being allowed to celebrate. There is a line, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that anything goes and you can, cross that boundary that needs to be there just in terms of, professional conduct and being a gentleman on stage and not embarrassing the sport and the code. But I love it. I think he's absolutely box office. If you're listening, I doubt you're not, but if you are listening, don't go changing. Neil?
Yeah, I agree with you. I don't think he's quite in Granit Xhaka territory just yet.
Always about football.
Good evening.
How does this affect Arsenal?
Badly.
Josh, go on. Give us your thoughts on Price.
I'm a big fan of Gerwen Price. As you've said, I just echo what you say, really. The only thing I do understand where Andy's coming from in relation to the crowd. I understand if Gerwen's getting abuse from the crowd, he's got every right to fire back and, have a bit of that. But then to not expect the crowd to respond to his reaction, he's probably a little bit naive. But it's in the heat of the moment, when you're getting a lot of grief up on that stage, he's entitled to show his emotion.
It did look earlier on in the year that it was beginning to reside, didn't it? And he was getting some decent appreciation from some of the crowds. But
it's a tough tag to kind of get rid of, though, the pantomime villain, isn't it? I mean, he hasn't... Obviously, the Grand Slam final last year, that's where it all stems from, that Grand Slam final against Gary Anderson. I think there's been no incidents of that nature this year with Gerwen, but the tag has still kind of stayed with him.
Never did Ted Hankey any harm, Neil, did it? The pantomime villain tag.
Exactly, you've got to have these type of characters.
Okay, Josh, got one more question for us?
One more, I thought I'd end on this one. Yep, Jenny Murter has said, darts has seemingly moved on without Phil Taylor quite well, but can the same be said about a man whose 4-syllable chant is more recognisable? Barney Army. Has he not done more for darts, certainly in Europe, than any other person? Not denying Phil anything other than what he deserves, but let's maybe look at it in a wider scale.
Okay, Josh, well, I think you are the man who's perfectly placed to answer this question, and I'd like to give you the floor.
Thank you, John. That music's extremely off-putting, but I will continue. I think it's tough to compare with Phil Taylor, really. Phil was a completely unique case, and his contribution and his success in darts has been unprecedented and won't be repeated. But what Barneveld has done for darts in Europe, but particularly in Holland, you only look at Marco van Gerwen. Marco van Gerwen have picked up a dart without Raymond van Barneveld. All the Dutch players coming through. We've seen Danny Noppert tonight in a final, Jeffrey Deswan, Jermaine Motouine. There's so many players. He put Dutch darts on the map in 1998, winning that first Lakeside title. The sport's so popular over there, so his contribution will never be forgotten. He's extremely influential, but yeah, I've said it all before really about Raymond, but he'll be a massive miss for darts. It's a character element I think darts is starting to miss now. We've got so many characters in the game formally. Maybe we're losing that a little bit, but there's still so many top players that darts will obviously still recover and still be the global phenomenon it is now.
I've said on the show before, Neil, that we'll probably wax lyrical about Barney come the end of his career. Once the World Championships is out the way at the end of the year, and he has formally retired, we'll probably have a good old chat about Barney and all his achievements and his accomplishments, and look back fondly with a tear in our eye, Josh.
Well, I certainly will have
as we talk about Barney. But right to bring it up. Any time Barney's achievements in the game, they go without saying and speak for themselves.
I'd like to ask Josh a question on this subject. Would Raymond van Barneveld's legacy be the same if Phil Taylor wasn't one of his major competitors?
What do you mean if Taylor hadn't competed?
Yeah, if there was no Phil Taylor,
Barney would have won a hell of a lot more for a start.
Yeah, there's two sides to the coin, as John mentioned there. There's a lot of players who put in the same boat. You could have James Wade, John Part, who'd be saying, well, without Gary Anderson, without Phil Taylor, look what I'd have won. He probably would have won 8, 9, 10 potentially world titles. But there was a documentary on before the final of the World Series here talking about when he first won his Lakeside title in 98 and the reception he got back at the airport with thousands and thousands of Dutch fans. So that was in the Lakeside when he didn't even play Phil Taylor. So I think the legacy would have been there regardless. But I think, the Taylor-Barney rivalry was iconic, really, wasn't it?
Yeah, but so he may have won more titles without Taylor, but would darts be where it was today without Taylor?
Possibly not. I think they were good for each other, weren't they?
Yeah.
Good for each other and good for the sport.
All rivalries, one person doesn't make a rivalry. And Phil Taylor, without Raymond van Barneveld, Phil Taylor wouldn't have been as big, perhaps, in terms of the obviously not his success, but his profile, and the same goes with Barney. So
you could say about a lot of sports, couldn't you? Whether it's Ronaldo and Messi,
Nadal,
or
Federer,
Prost and Senna in the Formula One. Yeah, there are a lot of examples, and I think it's a very good point you make, Neil. I think they were good for each other, and they helped not only forge their own careers, but also the game of darts. The game of darts on its own as well. So, I would agree entirely with that sentiment. Okay, Josh, any more questions?
That is it. So many thanks for the questions. Some great ones this week.
Hi, this is John Lowe, and you're listening to Josh's Dartistry.
Okay, gents, that brings us neatly on to the end of the show, the end of episode number 19. Josh, covered a hell of a lot in that show, haven't we?
Action-packed. There's been so many tournaments now, business end of the season. The tournaments keep on coming, John, over the next few weeks.
Busy period, Neil, and it's relentless now. It doesn't let up anytime soon, does it?
No, it doesn't. Into the Grand Slam, Players' Championship, and then the World Championships.
Okay, so plenty to look forward to. As ever, thanks for getting involved. Thanks for supporting us, downloading the show, checking us out. Please do spread the word. Don't forget our breaking news earlier on. You can now check us out on Spotify. If you go to Spotify and do a search for the Josh's Dartistry podcast, you will find us listed there. Spread the news. Retweet that if you can. Check us out on Twitter at Josh's Dartistry, the Josh's Dartistry Facebook page, and also log on to www.joshisdartistry.com for all your latest news, views, interviews, and results. Excellent stuff. Neil, thank you very much.
Thank you, John.
Josh, thank you.
Many thanks, John.
And I look forward to seeing you again for episode 20.
Josh's Dartistry, Josh's Dartistry, Josh's Dartistry, Josh's Dartistry.